Hello and welcome to Tutorialspoint. Today in content marketing, we'll discuss about content creation principles. What are those principles that are associated while you create the content that you create to disseminate across multiple channels, including websites, including blogs, landing pages, social media, guest blogging, so on and so forth. We also discuss about the different types of content creation. Let's get started with it. What is in the first place content creation principles? Content that attracts the customers. The content that attracts, entices, compels the customer to take an action. The content that is in consonance with the requirements of the customer. That is actually the content that we need to look into. Content that customers find valuable and beneficial. Key point: valuable and beneficial. The content that you create has to have certain value, has to provide the benefits to the end user, to the customer. As long as you create content that attracts, that adds value, that provides the benefits, then your content is the best content in the world. Content that motivates the customers. This is an extremely important point. At the end of the day, the reason why we actually write content across multiple channels is because the content has to motivate the customer to take an action. As long as the customer takes an action, you get leads. When you get leads, you actually acquire customers, and that is how the conversion happens. The content has to be motivating, that addresses customers' pain points. When we create content, we do a lot of research, and we need to do a lot of research. The research is basically to find out the issues, concerns, challenges and the pain points of the end user and the customer. As long as you address those pain points, what are those pain points, what are the challenges a particular customer and his business are facing, and how we can actually create a content that addresses those concerns and the pain points. If you can address those pain points, then you will be able to map the content across the kind of requirement that the customer may have. Content that triggers an action from the customer. It has to trigger an action. When we write content, at the bottom of the content, we usually give the call to action. A call to action basically is given to persuade the customer, the end user, to take an action and get in touch with the businesses so that you can actually provide the needed services and solutions. So that content has to motivate, that content has to trigger the action from the end user. Content that drives conversion. When you actually build this kind of content, it actually drives the conversion for you. And these are basically the principles that are associated with content creation. Now, the different types of content that we actually write it: website content, the kind of content that we write across multiple pages of the website, the blog articles that we write, the articles that are actually created to provide a solution to the end user. Then we have got the landing page, which is specifically related to a particular service, a solution or a product. Then we got social media content that we actually write and disseminate across multiple social media platforms to listen to, interact and engage, the content that engages with the users on the social media platforms. Then we have got the videos and the infographics. Videos play a very important role. They actually create the visual effect so that the content can actually understand the kind of requirements that are needed to be put in the content, and the customer actually engages with them. And we got infographics. Infographics are basically the information embedded, integrated into the graphics. Infographics are very popular, and you want to convey a message, the message can be conveyed through the infographics. Then we got white papers and case studies. White papers create authority for you, the leadership for you as a kind of a brand for a particular niche, a particular industry. Then we got case studies. Case studies are basically built to actually write the past performance, the projects that you have executed, what was the problem, how the problem was solved, and how the actually customer benefited from that particular solution. Case studies are actually a very good point in driving conversions. So these are the different types of content we actually write to engage with the prospective customers. Now, what are basically some of the tips that you can think of implementing and using as far as content creation is concerned? The first and foremost point that you need to ask yourself is, who is my targeted customer? Who is the target customer that I am actually looking at, and who are where they are basically located? And if you find out this information, when you do the research, initial research and analysis, you will be able to actually write the content that is required for them. How can I attract their attention? When you know who is your audience, who is your targeted customer, you actually need to find out how you can actually attract their attention. Attract their attention based on the kind of content that you are writing on across multiple media types. How my content can drive them to take an action. These are the three important points. Who are the customers, how you can actually attract them, and how you can actually make them take attention. And these are the key points that you need to do the research and analysis. When you have answers to these three questions, then you will be able to create the kind of content that is required, that is in requirements, that is in consonance with the user requirements. The customer centric content, when you have the answers, you create customer centric content that triggers emotions, that narrates an authentic story and drives conversions. These three are the questions, and these are the answers that you need to provide as far as the content creation is concerned. In conclusion, what we have seen in this video is content creation principles, the types of content, and the tips you need to actually keep in mind when you actually create the content. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again.